go? Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of the Attleboro School. Because he has the authority to do so and not put us out of time, but we can approve it. And that requisition is for around
20 million.
3 million.
No.
20.
20.
No,
20
I
million.
don't wanna no, I don't
No,
wanna misspeak.
20 million is work in place to date, right?
I'm sorry.
No,
It is for, 4 million.
4 million, okay. Good.
Yeah,
Three,
four,
4, 20.
yes.
Throwing it around.
Yeah, with a million here or there.
It's like bonus ranging.
Whoops.
Okay, so the next order of business
Do another vote or
is
two?
that we have the update for the numbers. And if you look at the back of that, the last item in red, the cost of doing the Western Fields is $4,480,461. We've been talking about this for months now. We had agreed as a committee in the past that if we had the funds to do the Western Fields, that we should incorporate that into the project. And so I think the good news is that over the course of the bidding, and understanding that we still have the items in blue to go, but over the course of the bidding, we have been able to save something on the order of 5.2 million, Steve? And so therefore, I think those of us who meet Wednesday morning are recommending to this group that we go ahead with the Western Fields, that we accept that add alternate number 1 for 4480461. That work would then begin basically starting next week if we approve it. And the fields would be ready for use in September of this year, which would be of enormous help to the athletic department, to all of the students who would be using those fields, plus all of the community groups that rent those fields or use those fields. So I guess I'm going to ask for a motion so we can discuss this.
So moved, second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Jack, just reiterating exactly what we're putting in, so that we will.
Do
Just
we
the-
have
just
that
the- just the tur-
available
just the turf,
to
or-
put up on the board?
Full field.
It might take a little bit of finding.
But while Steve's looking for it,
Yeah, it's been a while, just to.
so the fields that range from Brennan to the new north-south connector, those fields are in pretty terrible shape.
Oh, she did.
The baseball diamond is in the wrong place, and they do not drain very well. In fact, there are times when 60% of the time when those fields are not usable. We had considered whether to put new grass there, but the problem with that is that it would take a full year before the grass would be playable, and after we used it for 3 years, it probably would be destroyed and require us to spend another couple of $1 million to rehab those fields. So there was a plan that we put out, as a group put out, for add alternate number 1, which moves the baseball diamond closer to Brennan, creates a softball diamond up near the traffic circle, and then has 2 overlay soccer fields on it, which is also available for use then for field hockey for football and for
Lacrosse.
lacrosse. We felt as a group, when we put this out as an ad alternate, that the amount of use that those fields would get would justify the expense, and enhance our
Oh, yeah,
project.
there's, that's what I'm looking for, yeah.
And so,
I'm just on it.
Thank
there
you.
we go. So that gives you the graphic showing you what that area would look like. So the north-south connector would be on the right, and the Brennan parking lot would be on the left. Brennan Way would be at the bottom, and Drummond Street would be at the top.
Thank you.
So that is what we're talking about doing. We checked this morning, and we would be getting a 15-year warranty on the artificial turf, which I think exceeds what we bought for the football stadium by 1 year, and would mean that we would not have to be replacing that field for 15 years. So that would save on maintenance of the field, on reseeding, and as we all know, one of the reasons we did the football field was that once you start chewing that field up and the grass stops growing in October and November, you're playing on a dirt field rather than only grass on the edges.
And Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was not a prorated field, so over the course of 15 years, the value doesn't diminish, is that correct? Yeah, which is.
The warranty is not prorated,
Right.
so yes, so if the field failed after 12 years, you don't get only 3/15 of
Right.
the replacement cost, you get the full replacement cost.
It's good. Which
That's-
is unusual.
Yeah.
You have 16 years on the drainage mat. We learned today when we were looking it up.
So, I think those are the parameters. I haven't heard anything personally that would detract from the decision that I voted on when we put it out for an ad alternate, but open it up to any other questions or comments.
What's the distance between those, what's the separation between those two soccer fields?
Right here.
Tell from that.
I mean, it
It's not
looks
very
like-
much.
It looks, yeah.
Like a half an inch. No, I'm joking.
So, in speaking with the athletic director a little earlier, we just would like to engage in some discussions about the lines and stuff like that.
Those lines are sewn into the field, if I understand correctly, Craig?
Okay.
So they're not painted, they're sewn in. I would say there'd be nothing that would stop us from separating those fields by a little bit more and moving the westernmost field a little farther to the west, right?
Yeah, it was just to limit the amount it impinged on the baseball diamond, but it's really just another line on the dirt, on the infield.
That's the skin part
Surface.
of the infield, so that brown is dirt, correct?
No,
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 it's
that's
turf.
surface.
No,
surface.
that's artificial surface as well.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just a painted
Just
line.
moving the line is what it's doing.
Right. Okay. Rob, did you have a question?
If I remember correctly, obviously we can't do permanent fencing. I remember we had a discussion about temporary fencing during the spring seasons, or is that not, would there just be no fencing at any point during games?
No, there are recessed stanchions for mounting fencing for like the baseball field for an outfield fence.
Yeah,
There are
We just
recessed
got the
stanchions to
old
put fencing in on the outside. and
so
temporary
there
fence.
would be, so this will
Yes.
include all temporary fencing and everything?
Right.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, so by temporary fencing, I think you're referring to the outfield for the softball
Yes.
field or the baseball field.
I believe
Yes,
there's a
those are
temporary mound as well.
Otherwise, it's like the polo grounds, it just keeps going and going and going.
Well, when I played in Boston, that's the way it was.
Yeah, just keep running.
The outfielders, when the big hitter came up, they went way out. So those of you who need to leave, please feel free to do so. Yeah, we still have a quorum, so we're all set. So I guess if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Jack, that area out there that's been graded, was there some ball fields there before?
In the Western Fields area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a baseball diamond
At the
that
Brennan
was
end.
halfway up the field,
Okay.
which really isn't used very much. So, somebody coming up with a picture of it?
Down the far end.
Yeah, so the baseball diamond was right there.
How about the area that's all been freshly graded? Was there anything there before?
There was a softball field up in that area,
Okay.
The full infield?
if I remember right.
Google Maps hasn't updated it yet.
So,
Yep.
okay, then, moving along, Steve, you've got some OALs to talk to us about?
Yes. So, first one, demolition and abatement. We had 4 firms, that we brought in, de-scoped, very thorough with this one. We are recommending J.R. Vinagro, out of Johnson, Rhode Island. The all-in number for demolition and abatement, and we did the homework and know that the existing roof on this school is not ACM, as well as the flashing. We did additional testing just to confirm that. That's baked in here as well. There's savings. So the all-in, we also have some allowances separate from what the contractor owns, and some money for potential unforeseen conditions based on what we found already to date. The all-in number, including the allowances, is $6,588,500. So that is what we're recommending. J.R. Vinagro, their portion is $6,170,000.
Okay, and that shows as 3 line items on Enginet's chart at the bottom of the first page, is that correct?
That's correct.
And we'll get this to Gail so she can put this on the website for those of you in the audience who can't see this. She'll be back, I think, on Friday from vacation, so probably early next week this will go up on the website. The previous version is on the city's website now. Okay, 29?
29 is theater equipment and lighting. Once again, we had ultimately 6 different vendors involved with pricing this for us. Again, thorough de-scope with KBA, Skanska on this one. The all-in number for this is $955,462. We are recommending Port Lighting out of Seabrook, New Hampshire. Their portion of it is $902,962, and we've got a couple of small allowances as well in this one, just for some coordination items.
So this is the overhead lighting inside the auditorium?
Yes, and it also is the rigging for the curtain at the stage. Yes.
Could you describe what we're asking for in terms of the rigging? Is that for the battens, for the lights, as well as the curtain?
Yeah, so it's the lighting that will, some of it get attached to like the catwalks, and then it's above the stage with the curtain itself.
The catwalks are out.
The catwalks are not included, but in this number, they're already bought. It's the lighting that attaches to the catwalks.
This is all the instruments as well? All the lighting instruments?
Yes,
The-
the
yeah,
lighting, the
the-
lighting control
The
panel.
the whole control panel and control package is included.
What kind of lights are they?
We don't, oh. I mean, there were some that were voted proprietary, but we haven't got their submittals yet, so we
Right.
can't really tell you what they're gonna plan on submitting
Are
yet.
they LED or are they tungsten?
I think they're almost all LED, yeah.
I'd have to look, to be honest with you.
Any other questions on that one? Number 30?
30 is auditorium seating and bleachers. Several firms, 4 firms involved in this one that we had de-scoped. We are recommending CB Seating out of New Hampshire. There's 2 different packages here. The all-in total is $541,585 for both of them. It's $241,000 for the seating and $276,585 for the bleachers. And then there's there's a couple of small allowances involved in this to get to the $541,585. So we're recommending CB seating for both scopes.
That's the bleachers in the gym.
Bleachers in the gym, and then the seating in the auditorium, the fixed seating, and then there's some loose seating.
Okay.
All involved, all included.
Anybody have any questions on that? Moving along, number 31.
One is gymnasium equipment, so this is everything in the gym, basically not the bleachers or the lighting. It's the batting cage, it's the basketball hoops, it's the curtain, thank you, the divider curtain, it's the mat.
That divider curtain is so that you can run multiple gym classes in the
Multiple
Right.
stations.
space.
Right. So it's that entire scope of work. It is a value of $207,900. Once again, recommending CB seating for this scope of work as well.
I think the number I see is 190.
And Jeanette's number is 192. Is there a reason that's different?
I'm looking at this amendment, this one here, Steve. This is what was sent over last night. Was that adjusted?
I'm looking at the OAL.
Was there allowances carried in there, maybe?
Yes. There's-
Okay.
That includes 3 allowances, sorry.
Okay, so that 192 that I have doesn't include the allowances, so I will make an adjustment there. What's the
Okay.
number, Steve?
207,900, all in including allowances.
Okay.
Sorry, just to go back to the actual equipment and lighting. What was the company you would say?
Port lighting,
Port Lighting.
PORT.
It's on your agenda.
Yeah, but
Lighthouse.
we have Lighthouse
Oh, sorry,
Productions.
It's a DBA. It's,
Okay.
sorry. The formal full name, I'll get you the formal full name. I lost my spot.
No, as long as I saw the Lighthouse Productions and then the Port Lighting. I wasn't sure
Yeah,
what.
so it's Lighthouse Productions, DBA Port Lighting Systems out of Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't even know they're DBA. There's always been Port Lighting to me.
Right.
And moving on to finished carpentry.
Finished carpentry is the last one. A lot of interest in this one from some quality firms. So it was a good decision for us. We had a good pool to pick from here. This is all the finished carpentry that isn't in the labs for the science labs, for the classroom labs. That was purchased separately. So this is a lot of the wood panels and the different finished carpentry work in the rest of the school. The all-in total, $3,654,406. That includes some allowances for protection and a couple other small detail items. The subcontractor award value is $3,584,366. We're recommending general woodworking out of Lowell for this package.
And Anjanette
Yeah,
has
there's an
3.7.
update. This was from a previous,
So you'll be changing that
so
number.
I'll make the
What was
adjustment.
the number again, Steve?
The all-in number, $3,654,406.
Okay. Very good. So therefore, unless someone objects, a motion would be in order to approve OALs 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving to the second page of our agenda. Change order log, Steve?
Yep. Do you want to go through the whole log, or do you want to go through change
Well,
order?
only the things that are new.
Okay, I'll pass out the new log.
Thank you.
While Steve's passing those out, just one item that I know
Yeah, absolutely.
on our chart,
Amendment?
Anjanette, the number that we've expended to date of 37,189,557, that does not include the 4 million that is on the requisition that we just discussed, correct?
That is correct.
So we'll be up over $41 million of money spent once that is executed,
That's
correct?
it, that's correct.
Leaving 218 million to go. Okay,
Okay, so,
talk to us, Steve.
yep, the document that's just passed out, if we want to start on page 2. Items that are new to this group start at number 65 on the far left-hand column. Again, just a refresher that anything that's grayed out has already been discussed, either approved, denied, or closed. And then anything with a number, like number 8, the change order 8 is we're voting on tonight to recommend, but we'd already gone through the change requests associated with change order 8. So we'll just go to anything that is new and in white, starting with item 65, edge of slab revisions. That is just associated with the where the steel basically ends and where there's openings. It's a constant coordination effort that we have with the architect and the steel erector. So there's some tweaks that were made there. Additional concrete pan-filled stairs. Because we did buy out the concrete package early, there's a best guess estimate on the total cost for the stairs, which is an architectural item. And then there's a couple of stairs that were since added or not included in the original number. So we're taking a look at putting a price on those. They're in the auditorium. Item 67, revised roof parapet at building ABC. Again, this is changing the design a little bit. This ultimately might end up in a credit. We're still going through, change some, reduce the amount of brick on some of the returns up at the roof. Item 68 is on change order 8. Item 71, window revisions per mock-up submittals. So again, this is the whole reason why we do a mock-up. We started the shop drawing process, and KBA looked at some details and made some refinements there that will translate to the rest of the building, just some alignment and some caulking details. And then we are moving forward with building the mock-up. We'll start that process this week, actually. We'll start forming and placing the pad, and then there'll be a mock-up just kind of across from where our trailer entrance is. That will allow us to take a look at these details in person before we go too far with the rest of the building, and we can catch anything, and we can make sure we don't make any mistakes and set expectations. Item 72, steel roof edge revisions. Similar to slab edge, only, the difference is the roof openings and roof edges versus floors 2, 3, and 4. Item 73, tile revisions at bathroom alcoves. It's something we're reviewing between tile behind the water fountains and then tile within some of the bathrooms, either changing it or reducing the scope. Item 75, canopy modifications at sequence 109 and 301 are steel sequences. That's an RFI that the structural engineer is looking at right now. Number 76, RFI 65, Building E joist revisions. Based on the actual loading, we might have to increase the size of the joist just in one portion of the building. So the structural engineer is looking at that right now. And then item 77, drainage manhole number 113, water main conflict. This was an existing condition that was discovered actually just outside Blue Pride Way, down at the other end near the entrance to the school. It was discovered over the summer. It's down here in this area here. Based on the existing conditions and some of the new utilities we had to put in, There's a section of drain line that would need to be reworked and replaced under the ground there, so we're gonna try and tackle that this summer.
And all the drainage goes down Rathbun Willard
Heads east.
towards Dennis, right?
Yep. That's it for new items.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on those items?
I got a question on number 72. What's that? That's a pretty big number there. Roof edge?
Yes.
That's, Craig, is that something you?
I mean,
can-
that's an estimated.
Right.
No numbers have come back, have they?
Nothing officially submitted, no. This is
Yeah,
an
and
estimate.
these are kind of things that we're working through. So these are things that when steel went out at 60%, things changed as we were working through the details still. And so as a result, as we're coordinating and catching up, these are changes that are in the architectural drawings now, but they weren't when they went out for steel in June. And so that we're coordinating through all of that stuff. I can't speak in detail to these, cause I haven't seen anything as far as what their justification or what they're considering as cost changes.
It's a wag.
Yeah, it's nothing of a hard number, so we can't review it or even comment on it.
Anything with an EST,
Normally, at this point, I'll say it costs nothing because we haven't received anything. But that's the reality is it's it might be an ad, sometimes it ends up being a credit, but we just don't know yet.
Why was there a change made in the midstream there?
Well, it wasn't made midstream, it was, the steel package went out while we were halfway through doing the construction drawings of architectural. And as we developed those details further from 60%, things might have moved an inch or two, those kind of things, or we find stuff that, oh, this is a unique condition, we have to change it a little bit.
Yeah, we issued bid package 3 for the steel and concrete and site in May, and then we didn't issue the bid package 4 for the building till August.
Late
August.
September.
So there was development that happened in the architectural drawings between one and the other. We do our best to capture the scope of all the steel stuff, but you are bidding it early, so there's always a little bit of a risk.
And then the trade-off is that the rationale for starting early is you're saving on your escalation, you're getting a jump on construction.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting and delaying the start of construction, it allowed us to start in April, start early.
Jerry, I know that's a pretty big number, but I'll be honest, having done this on quite a few projects, there's hardly any changes compared to a lot of the other projects we've worked on. This is actually pretty good. Some of this is to be expected, and this is minor. We're actually kind of happy. I know, again, it's a big number, but the amount of coordination that was done and the level of effort to get it to this point it's pretty impressive.
And just to reiterate, we made a policy decision as a group to bid this in 4 bid packages because of the time and because of the escalation costs. And so, that's, the downside is that the plans weren't completely finished, but we saved up front by doing what we had to do, so I think our policy decision was still the correct one. Just that there are details that need to be dealt with.
Right. Yep.
Okay, if there are no other questions on that log, then change order number 8 includes change requests 60, 62, 63, and 68. These are all things that we had approved at the previous meeting, correct, Steve?
Yes, and it also includes CR 47, which was approved a long time ago, but it was only gonna come into effect if the western field went
okay.
forward. And since that's gonna go forward, we're incorporating that.
Okay,
into-
because I
that
don't
was a
see that.
drainage change.
It's in change order 8, but it wasn't listed on our agenda.
Oh, okay.
So that would bring that would increase the total at the bottom by $11,172.92, correct, Steve?
Give me that number again?
The,
11?
the total for change order 8 would increase, by 11,172.92.
92, yep.
Yeah, and that would be, the new total would be 29,887.75 for change order number 8.
Correct.
Okay. And what was CR 47 in the Western Fields?
It was additional drainage for the fields.
Okay. All right, then, motion is in order to approve change order number 8 in the
So
amount of
moved.
29,887.75.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, pre-GMP number 7. Is that you, Mary Ann, or? is
No, that would
Stacy?
be Steve.
Still me. So essentially, it's basically just the OALs that we voted on and the Western Fields. So those totals, as well as the insurance and fees associated with it, which makes up the total value of pre-GMP amendment number 7, and I'll pull that up.
Oh, okay, I see. You're saying is that OAL's 28 through 32 plus the Western Fields.
Right, and then there are a few allowances outside of the subcontracts that we just talked about in the OALs that are included. One is for NFPA 241 design services. That's new standards that have come in with respect to safety and fire protection during construction. So that's 30,000, and then miscellaneous reinforcing at slab penetrations. Anytime we have to go through the slab once the concrete is poured, there's very specific details with respect to rebar. So because we did a coordination effort up front, there's a chance a few things might have to shift a little bit, so we just wanted to allot some money for that. Prep and backfill at radon piping. That's the radon piping that was below the slab. Again, that design was tweaked after that package went out early. Allowance for miscellaneous concrete coring. Again, we did a lot of the coordination before the MEP subcontractors were on board. And some of those locations might have to be tweaked a little bit. Concrete winter conditions. We did spend some money this winter, even though we didn't get a lot of snow, there were still cold temperatures at night, so we did have to use a lot of temp heat and blankets. So there's an overage there, and then we want to account for a little bit of site concrete for next winter. And then 50,000 for off-hours drywall. There's some high-traffic areas that, once we're under construction, rather than try and limit 350 people from walking in a few areas, it makes sense. We've had experience in the past. Sometimes it's just with taping, but we'll do it off hours or on a Saturday when they're the only ones in the building. And so we've identified a few areas where it makes sense to do that moving forward. So that money is in here as well. So the all-in number is $18,505,360.57. That includes the Western Fields, that includes change order 8 and all the OALs we discussed tonight.
Again, 18,505.
36057.
Okay. And will this be the last GMP amendment?
Yes, this will be the last pre-GMP amendment, and then the next document would be the full GMP,
Which we're expecting at our April 15th meeting.
hopefully.
It's,
Expecting.
Optimistically looking forward to having it there.
Optimistic, yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
so moved.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Steve, do you want to show us on the board
Sure.
what's been going on and what's likely to be happening in the near future?
Yeah, it's fairly easy actually, because to date, so footings and foundation work is complete, which is great news. Good production out of J.L. Marshall. They did a nice job. They've started to form some interior walls. This area here is the auditorium, future auditorium, so they're starting some of that work, which is great news. And the site contractor has finished a lot of their work at this point associated with backfilling all the footings and foundations, and they're moving on to, they'll start work on the western fields, but then also some fine tuning of the grading, and then some access roads in and out of the building. And then we've also started some underground MEPs. Can't see anymore, but we've installed some over here, some underground electrical, underground plumbing pipe. And then a bulk of it is the steel erection. That's the bulk of the workers on site, and that's what you're going to see for the next month. This entire section that you see here goes up 4 stories. They're concentrating on this. This is A building. So they'll keep moving up vertically here. Starting next week, this crane here moves over to this area and starts erecting what we call K building,
Automotive shop.
which is the future automotive shop. And then they'll start working their way north, and then this crane that's out front will come back around this side and start working this way.
2 cranes started, last week, Steve?
This crane, the second crane started 2 weeks ago, I believe.
ago.
Yeah. So the weather has been helpful. There's plenty of steel. If we go to the front side of the building, this view here, you'll see a good portion of the steel on the ground. So the regular deliveries, so steel's been coming in, they shake it out, they offload it, and have plenty of good production out of both of these cranes each day.
Question was asked about painting the steel and about fire protection. We're not painting the steel.
No, the steel comes pre-primed where it needs to be. So the priming is dependent on if there's spray fireproofing that gets applied after the steel is erected. That's why you look, and some of them are different colors. But we're not doing any of the painting on site. The steel comes pre-primed as necessary. We will start spray fireproofing operations in a couple of months, but none of that is going on right now.
Typically where it's gonna be spray fireproof, it's not primed.
Because you need it to bond to the steel.
The
Correct.
steel.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why you'd see some steel is bare and some steel is painted.
And so we're still looking at finishing the steel at the end of May?
End of May into June. It'll go into June for what we call decking and detailing, but like the bulk of the structural steel columns and beams will be in place towards the end of May. But it's not like the iron workers will all be gone, June 1st. They'll continue to weld and bolt and tighten things up and put the deck down. And
Yeah, because we've been talking about having something, it's not topping off because it won't be the highest beam, but a
Be close.
finishing of the steel ceremony. Of course, with the virus issues that we have now, that may be not happening,
Yeah, maybe
Um,
next fall.
but we're looking anyway, still at sort of the end of May, the beginning of June for that,
Yep.
correct?
yes,
And masonry starts?
masonry starts in the next couple of weeks. That'll be probably the next major trade. We're also going to start to put some temporary stairs within the building that'll help with access and safety for the workers. And then we
How
will.
do they get up,
What's that?
how do they get up there now?
Ladders.
4 stories of ladders is not the.
Correct.
Safest and easiest thing to do.
Right, especially if you have something in your hands. So, this is a future stair. We're also gonna start to erect the permanent stair here. The shop drawings are in right now. But we're gonna have some temporary stairs going in at the next section over here. What ultimately is a permanent stair, but we're gonna put temporary stairs in there, and then you'll see some temporary stairs on the exterior of the building as well, at either end.
So at our June meeting, would we be able to assemble outside and take a walk through?
I would think so.
Most likely, yeah.
We should keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Double ACS probably won't be able to set up a camera, but
We could very well.
you could.
Sure. We'll follow you around.
Yeah.
Steve, what do they use for spray for the fireproofing on the steel?
There's a product that gets mixed on site.
Uh-huh.
It's a water-based cellulose product, yeah, that gets mixed.
Cementitious
Not
cellulose.
asbestos.
No, I know. I
No,
didn't-
not
I didn't think it would be.
We looked for it, but you
Good
can't
old
get it
days.
anymore.
You could do that, but
No. I just wondered what they used to substitute for.
Yeah, I know, it's cement, paper, and
Yeah,
some
it
other
almost,
stuff.
it looks a lot like confetti,
Yeah.
wet confetti.
Okay,
So that's it.
so that's our look ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot more steel going up.
Steve, who's the contractor pouring the floors?
What's that?
Who's the contractor that's gonna be pouring the floors?
It's JL Marshall.
Oh,
The
JL
s-
Marshall's
the same-
doing that too?
Yeah, same concrete subcontractor. They have a flat work group that concentrates and specializes in that.
We, other than foundations, we haven't done any major concrete pours yet, though, is that correct?
No, there's been no slab pours yet, no.
When are the slabs supposed to start?
We have one, I believe the first one is, early April 10th, I wanna say, don't quote me on that.
have something on the roof if you're gonna put some of the roofing on, starting what, in May? So you could have the pads up on the roof done.
Just,
More from the
we'll
top
repeat
down.
that because
Fourth floor
it
down.
was hard for me to hear, but I wanna make sure
They
the
pour
audience
from the
hears.
top
Yeah,
down.
we'll
when they
start on
work
the
it.
4th floor.
So when they sequence the buildings, typically you think the steel goes up, but everything else after the steel, everybody works down. And so from the duct work and all the rooftop units will be there, and then they build the building downward, from a sequencing standpoint, typically.
You know, basically work our way out of the building.
So roofing,
Yeah, roofing is in the next couple of months. And they'll be on site for probably 6 months
Big roof.
with all the different roofs and different elevations.
okay. Anybody have any other questions? Our next meeting is April 15th. The meeting after that will be May 13th. Anybody have any new business they wish to bring up? No? Then I guess we have 20 deadline, Bill.
Timing is everything.
So,
Yeah.
motion to adjourn at 6:17.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Did we wanna,
So, yeah, so,
Oh, yeah,
Craig and Joe and Mary Ann and Anjanette, we wanted to speak to Ed about some double ACS issues.